First of all, I'd like to give all praise to the Heavenly Father. Kahalam no yo, Bashum Mashat yo shat. Now we need to understand a few things, family. So many scholars teach that the scriptures are borrowed or taken from other ancient texts. But we need to understand that it's not so, family. They are misunderstood and mistaken. And what you need to understand, what the serpents was teaching to Eve is similar to what they're teaching. Within inside of the truth that they teach the serpent doctrine, family. But we're gonna go to before Adam, family. I did that Genesis Reloaded, family. If you've seen it, we're gonna get into some more details, family. But before Adam, family, we're gonna deal with this specific timeline, family, in this recreation. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, Yahuwah created the heaven and the earth, family. Now we're gonna get into this timeline, cause they can't put a time or a number on it, cause they don't know when. But all the other ancient texts and mythologies, which are not really mythologies, they come after Genesis 1:1. We're going to read the Shema Bhagavatam. Text 4. Below Rahu by 10,000 Johannes, 80,000 miles, are the planets known as Siddha Kolaka. Some weird names. Ancient text family. Kara Aloka and Vidayahara Loka. Beneath Vidayahara Loka, Kara Aloka and Siddha Loka, in the sky called Antarika, are the places of enjoyment for the Yakas. Yak ass, rock asses, Picasso's ghosts, and so on. Atarika. It extends as far as the wind blows, and the clouds float in the sky. Above this there is no more air. Below the abodes of the Yakas and the Rakas, by a distance of 100 Johannes, 800 miles, is the planet Earth, family. So we're seeing the other planets, other worlds, family, in these ancient texts. Below the abodes of the Yakas and Rakas, by a distance of 100 Johannes, or 800 miles, is the planet Earth. So they are above Earth, family. The heavens above Earth are these places so far. Its upper limit extends as high as swans, hawks, eagles, and similar large birds can fly. Let's go down, text 7. My dear king, beneath this earth, so beneath this earth, are 7 other planets, known as Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Tatatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patala. I have already explained the situation of the planetary systems of Earth. The width and length of the 7 lower planetary systems are calculated to be exactly the same as those of Earth. So there are planets under Earth, and in their heavens, Earth will be above their heavens, and above our heavens are other worlds also found. In text 8, in these 7 planetary systems, which are also known as the subterranean heavens, Bila Savarga, there are very beautiful houses, gardens, and places of sense enjoyment, which are even more opulent than those in the higher planets, because the demons have a very high standard of the sensual pleasure, wealth, and influence. Most of the residents of these planets, who are known as Daityas, Danavas, and Nagas, live as householders. Their wives, children, friends, and society are all fully engaged in illusory material happiness. The sense enjoyment of the demigods is sometimes disturbed but the residents of these planets enjoy life without disturbances. Thus they are understood to be very attached to illusory happiness, my dear king, in the imitation heavens. So we understand there are imitation heavens. Known as Belaga Sabaga, there was a great demon named Maya Danava, who was an expert artist and architect. He has constructed many brilliant, decorated cities. There are many wonderful houses, walls, great gates. Walls, gates, assembly houses, temples, yards, and temple compounds, as well as many hotels serving as residential quarters for foreigners. The houses for the leaders of these planets are constructed with the most valuable jewels, and they are always crowded with living entities, known as Nagas and Asuras, as well as many pigeons, parrots, and similar birds. All in all, these imitation heavenly cities are most beautifully situated and attractively decorated. So we have imitation heavens, family, other worlds, other places below the earth, and we have other places above the earth, family. Now we get into this first tablet, family, in the Sumerian, the creation story, family. When the height of heaven was not named, this is what they miss over, family, these scholars. Because they read this and they tell you that the scriptures were borrowed from this. But pay attention. When in the height heaven was not named, and the earth beneath did not yet bear a name, and the primeval Apsu, who begot them, and Chaos, Tiamat, the mother of them both. So first of all, we understand, when in the height of heaven was not named. So we understand heaven is created, family. And it was not named in this text, see? So they ain't do no create of the heavens and earth. Or themselves. They're created after these things. Because they are created. And the earth beneath did not yet bear a name. So we see the earth is also created, family. But they tell you that the scriptures are borrowed from this. But I'm going to show you something, family. It's not borrowed. All these things correlate together. This is a story of totality between all the ancient cultures. So it says, when in the height heaven was not named, and earth beneath did not yet bear a name. But let's go back to the scriptures. We go to Nehemiah 9 and 6. You, even you are Yahweh alone. You have made heaven, the heaven of heavens, with all their hosts, and the earth, and all things that are therein, the seas, and all that therein. And you preservest them all, and the hosts of heaven worship you. So we find out in the scriptures, Yahweh created the heavens of heavens. He created the host. He created the earth. He created the seas, family. But in these other texts, the earth is already created. They didn't create it. The heavens are already created. They said it did not yet bear a name. We go to Job 38 and 4. Where was you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare it if you have understanding. See, they did not lay the foundations of the earth. So these scholars will tell you that it is plagiarized or borrowed. They're incorrect, family. The scriptures itself tells you Yahweh created the heavens, the earth. These other texts tell you that the heavens, the earth existed. It didn't bear a name. We're going to go back to it. And the primeval Apsu, who begot them both. And Chaos, Tiamat, the mother of them all. The mother of them both. Their waters were mingled together. And no field was formed. No marsh was to be seen. And none bore a name. and no destinies were ordained. Then were created the gods in the midst of heaven. You see this, family? They are created. Lahamu, Lamu, and Lahamu were called into being. Ages increased. Then Ansar and Kisar were created, and over them long were the days. Then there came forth Anu, their son, and Ansar and Anu, and the god Anu. So look, so now it pops up saying, and the god Anu. So we have an order, a leader. Now we now have the god Anu born, and he has a mother and father. And many of these scholars, like Billy Carson, they'll tell you Tiamat is earth. Tiamat is also a name given to a being on the planet, one of the leaders, but it's also the name of the earth at this time, family. It's all before Adam, family. But we're going to show you some more stuff. See, these beings were created. Yahweh created all these beings, family. He told you this. He created the heavens, the earth. These beings telling you already in their text, in this text, in this creation story, that the heavens and earth already exist when they're created. They tell you they not bear a name to them, family. You must understand this. Then Ansar and Kisar were created, and over them long were the days. Then there came forth Anu, their son. And you see the dots because some of the texts are missing, family. Ansar and Anu, and the god Anu. So we have Anu coming forth, and he's now been called the god. Nidamu, whom his fathers, his begetters, abounding in all wisdom. He was exceeding strong. I'm pausing because the dots, family, some of the text is missing. He had no rival. Thus were established and were the great gods. So on earth, family, there was already men on earth, family. The men was known as gods, family, and women goddesses. They were created. And there was other worlds created, family. Go to the 4th tab. They prepared for him a lordly chamber. Before his fathers, as prince, he took his place. You are chiefest among the great gods. See, these beings are called gods. The beings that were on earth, created first. The beings on the other planet were called gods, family. Many people don't understand what a god is. Your fate is unequal. Your word is Anu. O Mardu, which is also known as Amun-Ra, family. You are chiefest among the great gods. So he is the leader among these other gods. And this is on their planet. They rejoiced and they did homage unto him, saying, Marduk is king. They bestowed upon him the scepter and the throne and the ring. They give him an invincible weapon which overwhelmeth the foe. Go and cut off the life of Tiamat. So they talking about destroying the earth, family. Scholars teach that this is the earth, Tiamat. We have a few that I think one or so that teaches something else. But as Billy Carson, Tiamat is the earth in this time period. And let the wind carry her blood into secret places. So now we have Murdu, aka Amun-Ra. These beings are known as gods, family. No one knows what that is. That's why it's, in the scriptures it says the Most High God, one that is above these other beings. And we know the Father is above all. Then advanced Tiamat and Murdu, the counselor of the gods. To the fight they came on, to the battle. They drew nigh. The Lord spread out his net and caught her. And the evil wind that was behind him he let loose in her face. As Tiamat opened her mouth to its full extent, he drove in the evil wind, while yet she had not shut her lips. So you got some of these crazies out there, they just try to teach you that this is a planetary, like planets crashing into each other. But they don't understand there's actual beings on these planets that use stars and meteors as weapons of wars. And they're destroying planets, conquering planets, family. The terrible winds filled her belly. and her courage was taken from her, and her mouth she opened wide. He seized the spear and burst her belly. He severed her inward parts. He pierced her heart. He overcame her and cut off her life. He cast down her body and stood upon it. When he had slain Tiamat, pay attention family, the leader, her might was broken. So Tiamat is also the planet, and it's also the leader of the planet, represented as Tiamat. Her might was broken. Her host was scattered. See, her host, so there's people on this planet. She's not talking about no planets crashing into each other. Now there's meteors and stuff hitting this planet because it's wars. It's what they call the wars of the gods, because our ancestors, that's why we're called gods, the sons of the gods. The scriptures teach us that. Because our ancestors was these beings on planet first and other planets. These other beings, they also have seed on this planet also right now. When he had slain Tiamat the leader, her might was broken, her host was scattered, and the gods, see this, and the gods, her helpers, who marched by her side. So this is supposed to be Earth, Tiamat, trembled and were afraid and turned back. They took to flight to save their lives, so a lot of them ran. They left the planet, family. Some of them stayed on the planet, stayed on Earth, but they were surrounded so that they could not escape. See, so many of them tried to escape, were surrounded. He took them captive. He broke their weapons. So a lot of the beings on Earth, the original man on Earth, known as gods also, was taken captive, family. And the angels that will fight with her. With her as the leader Tiamat, and for Tiamat as in the earth, family. He took them captive. He broke their weapons. In the net they were caught, and in the snares they sat down. And then it's missing some of the text. Of the world they filled with cries of grief. They received punishment from him. This Amarad doing this. He came to our planet destroying and destruction. They were held in bondage. And this is all before Adam, family. And on the 11 creatures. And on the 11 creatures which she had filled with the power of striking terror upon the troop of devils. You see this? Upon the troop of devils, because Amarad and all the other beings are known as devils. Who marched at her. He brought affliction. Their strength, he. Them in their opposition, he trampled under his feet. So Marduk came and he conquered Earth, destroying it. But let's pay attention, family. See, I ain't got no problem with the globe earthers, got no problem with the flat earth. But a lot of these scholars, they come from the tension, like the flat earthers go to the Bible and say the earth is flat. See the Bible. Billy Carson and other scholars go to the text and say the earth is a globe of spirit. But this is what we're going to get at. Because they believe in the text, but they'll teach different from the text. And unto Tiamat, whom he had conquered, he returned, and the Lord stood upon Tiamat's hinder part. See, the Lord, we call it lords and gods. So Amirah called the Lord, they call him a god. All the other beings that people call angels are called lords and gods. A lot of these beings are our ancestors, family. Before Adam. And the Lord stood upon Tiamat's hinder parts, and with his merciless club he smashed her skull. So he destroyed the planet. He cut through the channels of her blood. He made the north wind bear it away into secret places. His fathers beheld, and they rejoiced and were glad. Presents and gifts they brought unto him. Then the Lord rested, gazing upon her dead body. Talking about the planet. While he divided the flesh of the text missing and devised a cunning plan. He split her like a flat fish into two halves. So they believe in this text. Say the earth was a globe, family, and a sphere. Even in the flat earth model, family, the earth is surrounded by a firmament and an atmosphere And when you're outside of it, it's going to be spherical or global, because the structure that's around the flat earth will appear as the earth being a sphere globe too when you're on the outside of it, family. But it's what I'm trying to say, family. Say the earth was an actual globe, as these scholars say. Amun-Ra, he split her like a flat fish into two halves. One half of her he established as a covering for heaven. So he destroyed earth. Earth is a globe, family. He cut it in half, destroyed it into two halves. So he cut the globe in half. Now look at the picture to your left at the top. Earth is still a sphere on the flat earth because of the atmosphere and the structure of it and the firmament. We go to the bottom right corner. The earth being a globe cut into half now turns it into a flat earth upside down, family. But I put the picture also above that, so which way would it be facing? Would it be a half of earth like this, half a hemisphere? Or would it be the actual flat earth at the bottom right corner? A globe cut in half. You still have the spherical bottom piece, but it's flat on top. According to this ancient text, if he split the globe in half, he cut her in two, we will have this picture in the bottom right corner, we would say, family. Because one half of her he established as a covering for heaven. He set the part he cut in half to the top, family, up in the air, like a firmament almost. See, this is why they try to say the Bible plagiarized or copied some from these texts, because some of the things you will say sounds similar to what happens in Genesis, but it's what they don't understand, family. Because of the cycles and the earth being destroyed and the destruction through the cycles, similar events had to happen during the creation events and the cycles, family. But pay attention. He split her up like a flat fish into two halves. So he cut the globe in half. One half of her he established as a covering for heaven. So now we have half of a flat earth, what you would say now, family. He fixed a boat. He stationed a watchman and bade them not to let her waters come forth. So Amun-Ra did, he placed a structure up there to keep the waters from coming down, because he had a plan. So it would sound similar to Genesis, but it's not the same, family. I'm going to show you this. This is way before Adam and the time when Yahweh came. I'm showing you something. Because Yahweh the one who created all these things and created all these beings before all this is going on. He passed through the heavens. He surveyed the regions thereof. And over against the deep, he set the dwellings of Nidimu. And the Lord measured the structure of the deep. And he found the Isara, a mansion like it. The mansion Isara, which he created as heaven. So he created other places up there, little planetary system, try to make another little heaven. Now remember I read to you there's other planets and imitation heavens. So we'll find that Amun-Ra go up there trying to make his own little heavens. The mansion Isara, which he created as heaven, he caused and Baal and Ea in their districts to inhabit. He caused Anu, Baal, and Ea in their districts to inhabit. So this place, Isara, he caused Anu, Baal, Ea in their districts to inhabit. So this little imitation place in the heavens, he created another little heaven. A planet family, basically. He got them living on this other planet. See, our ancestors and these beings before us, calling themselves gods, they had these abilities and technology to do these things. But when we get to our time, where we destroyed and unevolved, devolution, we have to evolve again. Fifth tablet. He, Marduk, Amun-Ra, made the stations for the great gods. So he made places up there off of meteors and stars and other planets. They made stations, fam. So they went to other stars and other planets and created. Or should I say manipulated. The stars, their images as the stars of the zodiac he fixed. He ordained the year. In intersections he divided it. For the 12 months he fixed 3 stars. So from the destruction of when he destroyed parts of Earth and part went up from the destruction. See, it's also allegory. See, from him destroying half of Earth, and part of the Earth that went up into the heavens from being destroyed, part of it became the zodiac system. Is what he's saying, family. As the stars of the zodiac, he fixed. What he's saying is part of the Earth that broken up went up into the heavens. Part of those became the zodiac system. He founded the station of Nibber, the planet Jupiter, to determine their bounds. So he made a base on Nibber. Like how they came to Earth, conquer Earth, they went to Nibber, the planet Jupiter. Established civilization there on Jupiter, family also. To determine their bounds, so their borders, that none might err or go astray. He set the station of Bel and Ea along with him. So he up there conquering planets and stars, create civilizations, family. That's why he known as one of the serpents. He known as a Satan. Because he was conquering other people's worlds. See, he destroyed Earth already. And we got half of Earth now. He made strong the bolt on the left and on the right. In the midst thereof, he fixed the zenith. The moon god he caused to shine forth. The night he entrusted to him. He appointed him a being of the night to determine the day. So that you understand these beings, the Anunnaki beings and other beings, they got the ability to manipulate stars and create moons and stuff, family. They're artificial. But you gotta understand, Yahweh is the one who created all these planets, the heavens, and created these beings. Now they're manipulating everything by destroying it in wars. Now they're recreating things on all these places and manipulating things on these worlds. That's what I'm showing you. This is before Adam. This is after Genesis 1. Before Genesis 2, family. We're in between Genesis 1 and Genesis 2, family. All this stuff going on. The sixth tablet. When Marduk heard the word of the gods. See, word of the gods. See, all the beings known as gods. Our ancestors are known as gods. Some people's ancestors will come from these beings. Our ancestors of Yasharal, we come from Yahweh. It's the difference. His heart prompted him, and he devised a cunning plan. He opened his mouth, and unto Ea he spake. That which he had conceived in his heart, he imparted unto him. My blood will I take, and bone will I fashion. I will make man. See, they already know about man, because on the planet, the men and women on this planet are already gods and goddesses. Family. They already came and made war, killed many of them, took many of them captive. Family. So you should know some of the slaves that come back to the earth during that time, Anunnaki would be some of the people that are originally from earth then, before Marduk come. So we see, he says, my blood will I take, and bone will I fashion. I will make man, that man made. I will create man who shall inhabit the earth. So it's man on this earth already still, family. I'm going to show you that. That being, these guys, commanders guys on this earth. All these beings on our planets are known as gods at these times, family. When they conquered, they destroyed our minds and made us think we were nothing. Family. I will create man who shall inhabit the earth, that the service of the gods may be established, and that their shrines may be built. So he wants servants and slaves. But I will alter the ways of the gods. Look at this. But I will alter the ways of the gods, and I will change their paths. Together shall they be oppressed, and unto evil shall they. See what he's saying? He know that man, so he finna manipulate the genetics of the men that are already on the earth. And then they're gonna try to clone man also. They're gonna manipulate the genetics of the gods on earth already. The man. Men on earth, original men are gods on earth and goddesses. These beings on the other planets, they're called gods too. These are the ancestors. So they manipulate the ancestors' genetics and also making clones. Remember, they were conquering the planet. So he wanted to make his own people on this earth after he done destroyed half of it He's trying to recreate things on it. But watch what it say. But I will alter the ways of the gods. Look at this. Cause he know when he manipulate the man on earth, they're gods. He gonna alter their genetics, and he's also cloning his own type of man. I will change their path. Together shall they be oppressed, and unto evil shall they. That's part of the tablets missing. And Ea answered him and spake the word. Some of the tablets missing. The of the gods I have changed, and one shall be destroyed, and men will I, and the gods, and they. See parts of the tablets missing. Homo erectus, upright man, meaning upright man, is an extinct species of archaic human from the Pleistocene, with its earliest occurrence about 2 million years ago. So you need to understand something, family. Our ancestors were gods on this planet from the jump. The original man, original people, created by Yahweh, before they come and corrupt and destroy it. So he made man on earth, and he manipulates genetics of original man. So they want you to think original man would look like this. This is after man is genetically manipulated and cloned. So there's manipulated people and cloned people. Because I just showed you, Amara Marduk decided he gonna manipulate man, take his blood, and he gonna make his own people. He gonna make clones, and he was gonna manipulate the gods on earth. He gonna manipulate their genetics.
This is a free demo download.
From the Pleistocene, with its earliest occurrence about 2 million years ago. So this be around that time period, family. Go back to the tablet. But Tiamat and Apsu were still in confusion. They were in trouble and in disorder. Apsu was not diminished in might, and Tiamat roared. She smote in their deeds. Their way was evil. Then Apsu, the begetter of the great gods, cried unto Mamu, his minister, and said unto him, O Mamu, you minister that rejoices my spirit, come unto Tiamat, let us go. So they went, and before Tiamat they lay down. They consulted on a plan with regard to the gods, their sons. Apsu opened his mouth and spake, and unto Tiamat, the glistening one, he addressed the word. Their way, by day I cannot rest, by night I cannot lie down in peace, but I will destroy their way. I will. Let there be lamentation, and let us lie down again in peace. When Tiamat heard these words, she raged and cried aloud. She uttered a curse, and unto Apsu she spake. What then shall we do? Let their way be made difficult, and let us lie down again in peace. Mamu answered and gave counsel unto Apsu. And hostile to the gods was the counsel Mamu gave. Come, their way is strong, but you shall destroy it. Then by day shall you have rest, by night shall you lie down in peace. They want to destroy these other guys. A lot of them are their children, they call them, because they created a lot of these beings. And some of these beings are their children, but some of them are cloned beings. The other beings called gods. And they've been doing wars and destroying the planet. Tiamat. Remember, they killed the leader that was on the planet already, that was going under the title Tiamat. Then by day shall you have rest, by night shall you lie down in peace. Apsu hearkened unto him, and his countenance grew bright, since he, Mamu, planned evil against the gods, his sons. He was afraid. His knees became weak. They gave way beneath, because of the evil which their firstborn had planned. There they altered. They, lamentation, they sat in sorrow. Then Ea, who knoweth all, that is, went up, and he beheld their muttering. So Ea, also known as Enki, he was watching, he was scoping. He wouldn't go back to tell. About 30 illegible lines, his parts of the tablets missing. He spake, he hath conquered, and he weepeth and sitteth in tribulation of fear. We shall not lie down in peace, Apsu was laid waste, and Mamu who were taken captive in. You this, let us lie down in peace. They will smite, let us lie down in peace. You shall take vengeance for them. Unto the tempest shall you. And Tiamat hearkened unto the word of the bright God, and said, shall you entrust, let us wage war, the gods in the midst of. For the gods did she create. They band themselves together, and at the side of Tiamat they advanced. They were fierce. They devised mischief without resting night and day. They prepared for battle, fuming and raging. They joined the forces and made war. Amu, who birthed Tiamat, who formed all things, made in tradition weapons, invincible. She spawned monster serpents, sharp of tooth and merciless of fang. With poison instead of blood, she filled their body, so these other beings began to be created and come forth. Fierce monster vipers she clothed with terror. With splendor she decked them, she made them of lofty stature. Whoever beheld them, terror overcame them. Their bodies reared up, and none could withstand their attack. She set up vipers and dragons, and the monsters, Lahamu, and hurricanes, and raging hounds, and scorpion men, and mighty tempests, and fish men, and rams. They bore cruel weapons without fear of the fight. Her commands were mighty. None could resist them after this fashion, huge of stature. She made 11 kinds of monsters among the gods who were her sons, inasmuch as he had given her support. She exalted Kingu in their midst. She raised him to power, to march before the forces, to lead the host, to give the battle signal, to advance to the attack. So we see these beings going through the same things we're going on now. Wars, fights, battles. Because our genetics were manipulated. And some beings are born of these other beings. To direct the battle, to control the fight. Unto him she entrusted in costly raiment. She made him sit, saying, I have uttered your spell in the assembly of the gods. I have raised you to power. The dominion over all the gods have I entrusted unto him. But you exalted, you my chosen spouse. May they magnify your name over all of them. The Anunnaki, she gave him the tablets of destiny on his breast. She laid them, saying, your command shall not be without avail, and the word of your mouth shall be established. Now Kingu thus exalted, having received the power of Anu. So he moved up to leadership. That's like a prince move up to kingship. Somebody voted in the president. See, these things what's going on earth are way before this time. Decreed the fate among the gods his son, saying, let the opening of your mouth quench the fire god. Whoso is exalted in the battle, let him display his might. So it's war, destruction, as I'm showing you. I showed you the earth. I'm Iraq, known as Murdoch, come destroy the earth, split it in half. So we got a half of earth, family. There was no longer a globe anymore, according to that text that these scholars hold to. And we find out it's still beings on earth. But before that, we find out a lot of them taken captive. A lot of them, some of them escaped, a lot of them taken captive. Made as slaves. Find out Murdoch trying to reestablish stuff on earth. He tried to create his own people on earth, cloning. He manipulated the genetics of the guys that were on earth already. We find out more wars and battles happen. The earth is in destruction, family. Once again, flooded with waters, family. Destroyed. Then we get to the arrival of the Anunnaki again, family. Because the whole time period would have passed, family, after the earth was destroyed with floods and waters, fires, meteors, everything at this time from this battle, family. So we know many would have escaped and left, went back to other planets. So in time periods, these people are back on these other worlds and other planets. And whatever survivors are left on Earth are still left on Earth. Then we get to the arrival when the Anunnaki come back to the Earth, family. We go to the third tablet. The fate of Nibiru is in my hands. To my conditions you must give heed. Those were the words of Alulu. From dark-hued earth to Nibiru, they were by the speaker being. When the words of Alulu to Anu the king were conveyed, Anu astounded were the counselors, amazed was the sages. Alalu is not dead, they each other asked, could indeed he on another world be living? They with disbelief were saying. So we find out at this time period, Alalu has come to Earth. He has found Earth, made it here. Because the Earth was already destroyed, wars and all that. So a whole thousands of years go by. They living on another world's planets. They on Nibiru. Alalu traveling and finds Earth. And he conveys the message back. And then disbelief, like, is he really on another world? Was he not on Nibiru, hiding in the chariot to a place of concealment gone? The commanders of chariots were summoned. Savants, the being words considered. The words from Nibiru did not come. From beyond the hammered bracelet were they spoken. This was their finding. This to Anu the king they reported. So it came from beyond the hammered bracelet, family. And this is over here on the other side where the earth is at. It's like traveling through galaxies and Van Halen belts, stuff like that, family. Firmaments. For your departing from Nibiru, there was no reason. Enmity is not in Anu's heart. If gold for salvation you have indeed discovered, let Nibiru be saved. Excuse me. Let Nibiru be saved. The words of Anu, Alalu's chariot did reach. So his UFO did reach, family. He did reach Earth. He found gold. This is what it's about. Alalu them quickly answered. If you're a savior, I am to be. Your lives to save. Convene the princes to assembly. My ancestry declare supreme. So Alalu, oh, I found gold. Declare me as your savior. Y'all want to be saved. That's what he's saying. See, we see this corruptness going on. Even back then, family. Some try to date it to 450,000 years ago when the Anunnaki arrived. But it may even been not even that far back. But we're staying on this timeline, family. So this will be about the 450 year time frame they want to put it in, or even a little bit earlier, maybe 300,000 years when they come back. Let the commanders make me their leader. See what Alalu said? Bow to my command. Let the council pronounce me king on the throne. Anu to replace, so he want to replace Anu on the throne as king. He said, y'all bow to me, make me king. I found gold. I'm on this planet Earth. When the words of Alalu on Nibiru were heard, great was the consternation. So they like, dang, this corruptness, this wickedness, it's like something Satan do. See, this is another Satan. How could Anu be disposed? The counselors asked each other. What of Alu's mischief? Telling, where is his asylum? Did gold indeed he finds? They summoned the sages of the wise and learned counselings. They asked. The oldest of them spoke. I was Alalu's master. He was saying he had hearkened to teachings of the beginning of the celestial battle he was learning. See, he learned of the celestial battle and the traveling. Of the watery monster, Tiamat, and her golden veins. He learned about the battle and he learned about the golds and stuff that was on Earth. He knowledge acquired. If indeed beyond the hammered bracelet he had journeyed on Earth, the seventh planet is his asylum. Is it for protecting our atmosphere sufficient? How through the hammered bracelet to Nibiru can it be brought? So they wonder how they're going to bring the gold back from Earth to Nibiru. This the Enlil, the son of Anu, speak. Others many questions also asked. So Enlil will answer this to Anu. If the assembly of the princes, a son of Anu, stood up to speak, he was wise in all matters. Among the sages renowned he was. Of the secrets of waters he was a master. Ea. He whose home is water, he was called. So we know Ea was from the world of water, fam. And we know they've been on Earth before that battle. Thousands of years before. But they're on Nibiru. And they need gold because the wars and destructions that they always causing, technology that they build for corruption, destroying the atmosphere and their planet. And Ea, some call him a fish-like being, but he works with the water. He known as a scientist. He known as Inky. Okay. Let me in a chariot to Earth. He said, let me get a UFO, let me journey to Earth. And pass through the bracelet with water, not fire. This fashion. On Earth from the waters, let me the precious gold obtain. To Nibiru, back it will be sent. Let Alalu be king on Earth. A verdict of the sages awaited. If Nibiru it was saved, let there be a second wrestling. So he said, who shall Nibiru rule? Let it determine. The princes, the counselors, the sages, the commanders heard Ea's words. With wonder, full of wisdom they were. For the conflict, they solution found. Beyond the seventh planet was making its circuit. Earth and its companion, the chariot, were in fighting. In the commander's seat, Anzu was without words. Ea, too, was silent. Ahead was a destination, its goal, Nibiru's fate, for salvation or doom containing. The chariot must be slowed or an Earth's thick atmosphere. It shall perish, Anzu to Ea declared. Around Earth's companion, the moon, makes slowing circles. Ea to him suggested. They circled the moon by the vanquishing Nibiru in the celestial battle. It prostrate and scarred was lying. So they traveled through, circling the moon. Snow hue was 2/3 of the planet. Dark hue was its middle. They could see the oceans. They could see the firm land. So we see when they get here, the earth got snow all on it. On parts of it. See, snow hue was 2/3, so it was full of snow, 2/3 of the planet. Dark hue was its middle. They could see the oceans, so they could see the oceans. They could see the firm lands for the signal beacon. From Alalu, they were searching. They were looking for Alalu's beacon. His tracker. Where an ocean touched dry land, where 4 rivers were swallowed by marshes, Alalu's signal was beacon. Toward the place of Alalu was the chariot moving, floating like a boat upon the waters it was. Ahead the dry land was, covered with flooding marshes, the ocean were replacing. Ansu to heroes' commands, uttered their fishing suits, so they put on diving suits. They advanced diving suits. To put on he ordered. A hatch of the chariot was then opened. So they UFO, they opened up a hatch. Into the marshes, the heroes descended. So they descended into the marshes family. Where they put on diving suits. As dry land he was approaching. Green meadows he could see. Then his feet touched firm ground. He stood up. And by walking he continued. Ahead he could see Alalu standing with his hands with vigor waving. Coming out of the waters ashore, Ea stepped on dark hue earth. He was standing, so they standing on the land. Alalu toward him came running, his son by marriage. It's his son by marriage. He powerfully embraced. Welcome to a different planet, Alalu to Ea said. So he telling Inky, Ea, welcome to a different planet. So they're on Earth now. After all the years, they come to Earth trying to save Nibiru. Cause a lot of them thought the Earth was gone from that last battle, but they knew it was where it was at. Now this is the account of how Eridu on Earth was established, how the count of 7 days was begun. So this is part of the creation story they try to say that Genesis was taken from. But I don't understand, this is way before Genesis, before Adam come. And the 7 day is a cycle the earth was created in. And they know this already. Because they've been on earth before. They already know about the earth. But they thought it was gone. But they found it. Well, Alalu came back. So the 7 days is already natural. But a lot of these beings don't know that. Soon the hue of the skies was changing from brightness to reddish. It was turning. You see that, family? So when they come to earth, they can see the sun. They see the moon and they can see the sun. But in Genesis, it's different. And I'm going to show you that. Well, you know that, but I'm going to show you. A sight never seen before their eyes was unfolding. Because a lot of these beings never been on this planet. The sun, as a red ball on the horizon, was disappearing. It's disappearing. The sun going down right now, family. Fear seized the heroes of a great calamity. Afraid they were. So they get scared because the sun going down. Alalu, with laughter, words of comfort, was saying. So Alalu already been there for days or weeks. Or even longer. So Alalu laughing. A setting of the sun it is. So Alalu telling them what it is. A setting of the sun. The ending of one day on earth, it is marking. So he telling them, he been here already. He know what's going on. For a quick rest lie down. A night on earth is beyond imagining short. Before you expect the sun will an appearance make. On earth it will be morning. Before expecting darkness came. The heavens from the earth it separated. So it became nighttime. They were scared because they didn't know about Alalu told them. He was already living there. He the one told them he discovered Earth and stuff. So this is when they came and knock your ride back on Earth at this time. With quickened hearts, the sun's return they awaited. Smiling when its rays appeared. They were joyful and backslapping. So they was clapping, hugging, slapping each other back when they seen the sun. They was excited. Remember, because they're on a different planet. A lot of them never been here before. Most of them haven't. Besides Ea, an Inky family. But that was in times past. By daybreak, Ea, the ongoings considered to separate waters from waters. He was giving. So, separating waters from waters. So this is not the same as the Genesis what? Genesis 1:6. And Yahweh said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. And let it divide the waters from the waters. And Yahweh made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. Yahweh actually divided the waters through a natural process to get the waters off earth. And he placed the firmament in between it when he come in Genesis 6. We're not even in this time yet of Genesis 1:6. What Yahweh doing. The original creator of the earth. So this separating of the waters not talking about the same type of separating the water. So Billy Carson and many other scholars got that wrong. To separate waters from waters, he was giving. Let's go down. Inger, he made the sweet waters, the master. Drinking waters to provide. So this is somebody scientific. He good at separating the chemical waters. Somebody that's good at making waters. Like people putting these waters on these shelves in the stores. Making electrolytes and ions and all these things to make a good taste. Inger, he made of the sweet waters, the master. Drinking waters to provide. So he know how to separate the stuff out of the waters to give you clean water to filter the water. To the snake pond with Alalu, he went. It's sweet waters to consider. Evil serpents in the ponds were swarming. So when they get there, it's stuff swimming in the water already. They didn't create it. So did Inger to Ea say, the marshlands Ea then contemplated, the abundance of rainwaters he weighed. And Belulu he placed in charge of the marshlands to mark out the thicket of reeds, him he directed. So it's like a whole bunch of group of, like construction workers, but they working in the woods. Or let's say landscapers. Scientists, that's what they are. In Kitmandu, in a charge of ditch and dike place. We say in charge, he talking about he put them in service of doing this work. and Kimdu in charge of ditch and dike he placed. So he placed them. This is how they separate the waters. You got the one dude, he draining the waters, filtering it, making it where they can drink it. This guy over here, he over digging ditches and dikes. He placed a boundary for the marches to fashion. This is not the same as Genesis, family. This is a total different. This is before that comes up. For the waters that from heaven rain, a gathering place to make. So they were making ditches and dikes, so when it rained, it could drain, go into ditches to keep the water separate from all flooding into what they was doing. Thus were the waters below from the waters above separated. Marsh waters from sweet waters asunder were set. And this talk about digging the ditches and diking. Family, this is what this talk about. This got nothing to do with the Genesis. So these other scholars have mistaken on what they were reading, trying to make it seem like it was plagiarized or copied. These all stories go together, but they happen in different time periods. Yahweh, the original creator of the heavens and the earth, he comes back in Genesis 2, family. In Genesis chapter 1 verse 2, that's when he comes back to the earth. After all this has been going on, he comes back again. He comes back through different cycles, but that's when he comes back again before Adam, what I'm going to show you. And it was evening and it was morning, the second day on earth it was. See, this is that second day on earth. And this is what they were doing when they was talking about dividing the waters. They were digging ditches and diking. Yahweh didn't come down digging ditches and diking, family. At that time, he literally separated waters because the earth was flooded. And he works through weather, the elements, natural environments. You know how he works all things. The Father works through him, family. It's not a copy, not a plagiarism. These stories all go together in different time periods. 4 periods of occupation. Archaeological investigation suggests 4 major periods of occupation, beginning with Denisovans about 160,000 years ago, and followed by 3 periods of humans who arrived starting around 40,000 years ago, and 16,000 years ago, and 8,000 years ago. You see the different time periods, family? It's for a reason. Different beings come on this earth, manipulate genetics. And 8,000 years ago, so we know around 8,000 years ago, we get closer to Adam, when Yahweh will come back on this earth. Come back on before Adam, I'm just saying, that's when our ancestors comes back to arrive. But we see 160,000 years ago right there, family, so that means after all this time they've been living on earth and things, slaving to Ijiji. Some of them beings were originally from the earth. Some of the beings that they were slaving because he'd been taken years before that. But it was born and brought forth, so they don't know most of the history, like what's going on earth. These beings are just like us, different planets, just advanced. So that's when we see, we got these people, but we're going to get to that. Hold on. The Anunnaki. I'm showing you this because there's beings on Earth already at this time period. In different time periods, we see different sets of beings come from. I'm going to show you. The Anunnaki, the gods of the underworld, ruled over the Ijiji gods of the heavens. The Ijiji grow tired of the hard labor of crushing clay and carrying baskets of earth imposed of them by their leaders. And thus they complained to the god of water and wisdom, Enki, who is also Ea feminine, as I showed you, who is asleep and doesn't stir. Nama, the primeval mother goddess of the sea, equated to the Babylonian Tiamat. Here's the cries of the Ijiji. Tiamat is also a planet, and it's also a leader, a being on the planet. But other beings try to take on that name also. Here's the cries of the Ijiji and their tears to her son, Enki. Rousing him, Naama is distraught by the upset Ijiji and urges Enki to make a creature that would serve to substitute the gods, relieving the Ijiji of their toil. So they're slaving other gods, family. So they want to create a creature that they can slave instead. Remember, it's already beings on this planet, family. Now they can manipulate the beings on this planet and clone beings. Again, because Murdoch already had done that also. Cloned the original guys on this planet. He manipulated genetics of the original guys that were still on this planet. Took many of them into slavery. So many of them would, and some of them were still left on this planet. So when Anunnaki arrived, some of them beings are still on this planet. Our original ancestors of the planet. So they're going to manipulate their genetics and also clone other beings. And some of the beings that Murdoch genetically modified, some of them may be residing still on the planet also. Enki is annoyed at being pestered, but he agrees to the creation of such an entity. He instructs Naama to make humanity of clay from the top of the Apsu, the underground water in which Enki lives, which Nehersag, otherwise known as Ninmah, acting as midwife along with Ninimah, daughter of Enki, and Nikkara, and fertility goddess associated with female genitalia, Suziana, Ninmata, brother of Ninazu, Nimbarag, Ninimug, and Nunguna. After the completion of the creation of the first humans, their fate of carrying baskets is decreed by Nehersag, the gods. Having a feast is a celebration of Enki's wisdom and the birth of humanity. At this party, Enki and Nehersag drink too much, becoming elated and drowsy. So, Enki known as wisdom, and they call him a god of wisdom because they're known as Satan. Remember, Enki is one of the serpents in the garden. There's multiple serpents. It's a whole team of them. They're all in that garden under the CV. But they want to manipulate genetics of the humans on the planet and make some more clones. Nehersag claims to Enki that while his invention of the human body was way be good or bad, their fate was to be good or bad according to her will. Enki resorts by saying that whether fate good or bad, Nehersag ordains for humans, Enki will approve the lot without assistance from Nama. Nehersag creates a man from clay without the ability to reach out and grasp things. So this is what she mean by having to choose their fate or not. She gonna make them retarded, dumb, stupid, however she want them to do. And Enki destined to him to serve the king, for he's unable to steal. Next, she created a blind man, who Enki, the other guy, couldn't steal, so he had to serve the king. Next, she created a blind man, who Enki gives him the gift of music, and destines him a minstrel to be to the king. So, he created as a musician. So he's a slave for the king as a musician. Third, Nehersag makes a man who is described as either having broken, paralyzed feet, and therefore being destined by Enki to the role of silversmith or an idiot, destined to serve the king, Nehersag's fourth. Creation is a man who cannot hold back his semen or urine. Enki curses him with a magical bath, dispelling the Namtar demon from the man's body. The fifth creation of Nehersag is an infertile woman, fated to be either a prostitute or a weaver in the queen's household. Nehersag's sixth and final creation is a person without a penis or vagina. So they created some of these grays and reptilian beings. They created some of them beings, family, who Enki calls eunuch and places in the services of the king. This ain't the same eunuch in the Bible. That's something totally different. Of the king defeated, Nehersag throws the clay to the ground. Enki retrieves it, and in an effort to further outdo Nehersag, decides to create people of his own. So he decides, I'm gonna create people of my own, cause she been creating retarded, crazy people. The first being he makes is a woman with difficulty giving birth. So he makes a woman that's hard to give birth. Nehersag could not reverse her fate. Enki then makes an old man, afflicted in the heart, lungs, and bowels, unable to stand or talk. Nehersag attempts to feed the man, but is unable to help him eat. Nehersag complains, saying that Enki have crafted a being neither alive nor dead. So a lot of these beings that they were cloning, manipulating, and from the genetics of man and cloning, making these beings, when man started mixing with these crazy beings, that part of that genetics came into man's blood. So that's why that anomaly happens among children. Besides these shots they're giving everybody, making it happen to them. But that's one of the causes why people were born that way, because the mixture of mixing with these other beings on the planet. That's why I was in the law not to mix with all these other people, because these beings were on the planet mixing with other people. And this to get into the genetics. But that's why Yahushua said he's going to cleanse our blood. That the Father going to cleanse our blood. In June, China became the source of global headlines when scientists announced that the discovering of a constrictively preserved skull they believe belonged to a previously undiscovered extinct species of the human family, dubbed Dragon Man. The Homo longi skull was around 146,000 years old, and with further study might replace Neanderthals as the closest relatives to humans. I thought I put that picture up there. It must didn't say it. We're going to Lost Lemuria, we find out, documented in the Human Kingdom. Before making any reference to what must, even at this early date, be called the Human Kingdom, it must be stated that none of those who at the present day can lay claim to even a moderate amount of mental or spiritual culture can have lived in these ages. It was only with the advent of the last three sub-races of this third root race that the least progressed of the first group of the lunar Pitris began to return to incarnation family, while the most advanced among them did not take birth to the early sub-races of the Atlantean period. Indeed, Lemurian man, during at least the first half of the race, must be regarded rather as an animal destined to reach humanity than as human according to our understanding of the term. For though the second and third groups of Pitris, who constituted the inhabitants of Lemuria during its first four sub-races, had achieved sufficient self-consciousness in the lunar Manvatara to differentiate them from the animal kingdom, they had not yet received the divine spark, which should endow them with mind and individuality. In other words, make them truly human. Now we get to the Emerald Tablet of Thoth family. So we're dealing with this particular time period of set events. Now we're dealing with major time periods through archaeology, scientific, and scripture, and mythology and documentation family. So the history of Thoth, the Atlantean. I thought the Atlantean. So Thoth is the writer of the Emerald Tablets family. Master of mysteries, keeper of records, mighty king, magician, living from generation to generation, being about to pass into the halls of Amenti, set down for the guidance of those that are to come after. These records of the mighty wisdom of great Atlantis, and the great city of Kior, on the island of Undal, in a time far past I began this incarnation, not as the little men of the present age did. The mighty ones of Atlantis lived and died, but rather from aeon to aeon did they renew their life in the halls of Amenti, where the river of life flows eternally onward. So she thought was incarnating here on earth, as many of us are. He was sent to guide man. He was one of the beings sent as a light bearer, also known as a Lucifer family. An angel to lead And many of us are incarnated beings also, here to lead man and guide man. But many of these beings has fallen, family, from their state. Okay, Emerald Tablet. The Spaceborn. Listen, old man, to the voice of wisdom. Listen to the voice of thought, the Atlantean. Freely I give to you of my wisdom, gathered from the time and space of this cycle. Master of mysteries, son of the morning. Thought, the teacher of men, is of all. See, he himself called himself the son of the morning, and it's S-U-N. In the scriptures we find out the son of the morning, S-O-N. But these sons of the morning, family, light bearers, Lucifers, they were supposed to guide men and others. But a lot of them fall, and they fall due to corruption of the wisdom, family. So a lot of them was known as the brotherhood of the serpents. They had that knowledge of wisdom, but they also had knowledge of evil and was corrupted by it. Far into space, my soul traveled freely into infinity's circle of light, strange beyond knowledge, where some of the planets, great and gigantic, beyond dreams of men, yet found I lo, and all of his beauty. Working through and among them as here among men, flashed forth my soul through infinity's beauty. Far through space I flew with my thoughts. See what he said? He said, I found I lo in all of his beauty, working through and among them, as here among men. So even he be traveling. He said, were some of the planets great and gigantic, beyond dreams of man, yet found I lo in all of his beauty, working through and among them. See, he was working through and among them also, as here among men. Let's go down. Rested I there on a planet of beauty, strains of harmony filled all the air. Shapes there were moving in order, great and majestic, as stars in the night, mounting in harmony, order, equilibrium, symbols of the cosmic like unto law. Many the stars I passed in my journey, many the races of men on their worlds. So he's telling you, many the races of men on their worlds. Says Yahushua told us there are many worlds in the Father's house. The Father's mentioned. Some reaching high as stars of the morning. Some reaching as high as stars of the morning. Some falling low in the blackness of night. Each and all of them struggling upward, gaining the heights and plumbing the depths, moving at times in realms of brightness, living through darkness, gaining the light. See, Thoth was in here as a guider. But we have sources say that he fell also. But we're going to continue. The dweller of Unal, oft dreamed I of buried Atlantis, lost in the ages that have passed into night. Aeon and aeon, you existed in beauty, a shining through the darkness of night, mighty in power, ruling the earthborn, lord of the earth in Atlantis. So we need to understand, Atlantis was like a Babylonian civilization, family. Expanded all across the earth, even to other planets, family. But he speaks of, when he said, oft dream I of buried Atlantis, there was capital cities of Atlantis. That's one that he was also staying at that was destroyed. But let's continue on. Mighty in power, ruling the earthborn, lord of the earth in Atlantis. Day, king of the nations, master of wisdom, light through Suntal, keeper of the way, dwelt in his temple, the master of Unal, light of the earth in Atlantis day. Master, he from a cycle beyond us, living in bodies as one among men. Just as y'all hear about Yahushua. See, master, he from a cycle beyond us, living in bodies as one among men, not as the earthborn. He from beyond us, son of a cycle advanced beyond men. So, incarnation cycle, what he talking about is being to incarnate and travel through dimensions, family. As many of us can, but all men that are here cannot do this. We come from a different world of a dimension, family, before we incarnated here. Some of us beings, sons of Yahweh. But there's others that have their own worlds also. And worlds were created for them. As Yahweh said, he created a place. Know ye, old man, that Horlet the master was never one with the children of men. Far in the past time, when Atlantis first grew as a power, appeared there one with the key of wisdom, showing the way of light to all. Formless was he within his temple, yet was he formed in the image of man, dwelling among them, yet not of them. Strange and far different was he from the children of men. See, it's similar to what Yahushua was telling y'all when he came. But Yahushua was above these beings. He's above Thoth and all those other beings. He sits on a higher council, on a higher realm, on one of the highest dimensions of all that brought forth these other dimensions. And that's before he was known as Yahushua. Because many of us come from there also. That's why he said, we are one. He is our brother, sons of Yahweh. Dwelling among them, yet not of them. Strange and far different was he from the children of men. Chose he then from among the people 3 who became his gateway. Chose he the 3 from the highest to become his links with Atlantis, messengers, they who carried his counsel to the kings of the children of men. Brought he forth others and taught them wisdom, teachers they to the children of men. Placed he them on the island of Undal to stand as teachers of light to men. So many children of the light came, light bearers, but some of them fell into darkness. That's why we call fallen angels and the fallen ones. But these are avatars. That's what he's telling you. We incarnate into avatar bodies. You have the natural born man of the earth. Then you have the clone genetic modified man. Then you have the natural born man of the earth that is an avatar for the sons of Yahweh. Down sank Atlantis beneath the dark waves. Shattered the gateway that had opened. Shattered the doorway that led down below. All of the islands were shattered except Unal. Now remember, family, they date his tablets to around 36,000 years. I think BC. And Thoth ruling around 50,000 BC. And they say within the 24,000, we're going to get to it. All of the islands were shattered except Unal, and part of the islands of the sons of the dweller preserved he, then to be the teachers. Light on the path for those to come after. Light for the lesser children of men. You see that? Lights for the lesser children of men. Call he then, I thought. One second, family. Call he then, I thought, before him gave me commands. For all I should do, saying, take you, O Thoth, all of your wisdom. Take all your records. Take all your magic. Go you forth as a teacher of men. Go you forth, reserving the records, until in time light grows among men. Light shall you be, all through the ages, hidden yet found by enlightened men. Over all earth give we you power, free you to give or take it away. Gather you now the sons of Atlantis, take them and flee to the people of the rock caves. Pay attention. Fly to the land of the children of Kim, family. Now this is the landmass over where Egypt and Kemet, over in the area of Africa, family. This is not Egypt or Kemet. This is in the landmass. This is way before the people, after the flood, inhabits Kemet. And names of Kemet start ruling, family. So this is before the flood. Take them. See, I'm going to go back to the top. Down sank Atlantis beneath the dark waves. Shattered the gateway that had been opened. Shattered the doorway that led below. led down below. So we see Atlantis is sinking. This is another capital city. And Thoth was told to flee and to take the wisdom. Fly to the land of Kim. See, fly to the land of the children of Kim. See, he got a UFO. Then gather I the sons of Atlantis into the spaceship. I brought all my records, see, his documents, of the wisdom and the writings and teachings. Brought the records of sunken Atlantis. Gather I all of my powers, instruments, many of mighty magic. See this, family? And he took it to the land of Kim, before it became Kemet in Egypt. For some 16,000 years, he ruled the ancient race of Egypt. It's before Egypt and Kemet, family. From approximately 50,000 BC. So when I read to you about Thoth and the Emerald Tablets, so understand. When Atlantis sank, Thoth fled to the land of Kim. And this is before it is called Kemet, or even Egypt, family. Before those people that come in and rule. This is 50,000 BC to 36,000 BC. At that time, the ancient barbarous race among which he and his followers had settled had been raised to a high degree of civilization. Thoth was an immortal, that is, had conquered death, passing only when he willed, and even then not through death. His vast wisdom made him ruler over the various Atlantean colonies, including the ones in South and Central America. There was Atlantean colonies, some of the ones in South and Central America, family. All the natives weren't the same people. They were different people, just was categorized all native Indian and natives. When the time came for to leave Egypt, he erected the Great Pyramid over the entrance to the great halls of Amenti. Placed it in his records and appointed guards for his secrets from among the highest of his people. In latter times, the descendants of these guards became the pyramid priests, while Thoth was deified as the god of wisdom. See, and deified Thoth later on as the god of wisdom. Though recorded by those in the age of darkness, which followed his passing in legend, the halls of Amenti became the underworld. The halls of the gods, the halls or the gods, where the souls passed after death for judgment. So Thoth is accredited with building the Great Pyramid. And then we hear about the Essene massacre, fam. During the Iani Essenes massacre, the female high council members and females that had higher DNA codes were taken to Nibiru. See, this is another source. This is a source that says Thoth fallen by Thoth and Anunnaki for forced breeding. So he's saying they took women to Nibiru for forced breeding. Thoth was one of them. This was the time Thoth broke the Emerald Covenant agreement with the Guardians and stole one of the CD plates. He translated the CD plate and wrote the well-known historic Emerald Tablet. This is where a lot of people get their stories and their movies and stuff from. They go into these documents and tablets and try to make movies out of these stories, which were historical events. And we're still dealing with before Adam, family. See, 50,000 BC, family. After Atlantis falling, where Thoth was at, the capital city, he fled to Africa. And the landmass where Kemet and Egypt would later on be built. So many of Thoth documents, knowledge, and religious beliefs, Kemet and Egypt will pick them up, and they also will add on to it and other doctrines through the conquering of Egypt and Kemet. But we see another source says Thoth has fallen. But we know our brother Billy Carson holds Thoth on a high standard. And we know at this time, family, They were once again genetically manipulating mankind. There were already cloned beings on Earth. They were manipulating original man that was still on Earth, that was manipulated in times past, which originally come from the gods that were originally on Earth. So they were genetically modifying clones and bodies to create more avatars, man. And also more workers, family. That's why we get into Homo florensis, also known as Flores Man, nicknamed Hobbit, is an extinct species of small archaic human that inhabited the islands of Flores, Indonesia, until the arrival of modern humans about 50,000 years ago. So we know through the ruling of Thoth, when he come in, these beings was already existed and become extinct around 50,000 years ago. Around the time Thoth was in Kim. We have the Homo lucinosis, also locally called Ubag, after a mythical caveman, is an extinct, possibly pygmy species of archaic human from the late Pleistocene or Luzon, the Philippines. Their remains, teeth, and phalanges are known only from Callao Cave in the north part of the island, dating to before 50,000 years ago. So they dated the extinction of these, the Homo floresiensis, 50,000 years ago. They dated the Homo luzonensis of remains about 50,000 years ago. We find this is time Thoth, the Atlantis is fallen and Thoth's going into Kim, Africa. What Kim in Egypt would later on be built thousands of years later after the flood. We also have Neanderthals, an extinct species of subspecies of archaic humans who lived in Eurasia until about 40,000 years ago. And Thoth ruled from about 50,000 BC to 36,000 BC in that era of Kim. And we find out these different beings was around on Earth and going extinct around these time periods. We got the Heidelberg genesis. It's regarded as chronospecies, evolving from an African form of H. erectus, sometimes called H. ergaster by convention. H. heidelbergensis is placed as the most recent common ancestor between modern humans, H. sapiens or H. S. sapiens, and Neanderthals, H. neanderthalensis or H. S. neanderthalensis. So they place them between modern humans and Neanderthals. Homo sapiens emerged in Africa around 300,000 years ago from a species commonly designated as either H. heidelbergensis or H. rhodesiensis. The descendants of H. erectus that remained in Africa, H. sapiens, migrated out of the continent gradually, replacing or interbreeding with local populations of archaic humans. See, it was no evolution as they teach. The evolution was due to breeding and mixing processes, not to man evolving from an ape. That evolution, which is not an actual evolution, is actually a genetic manipulation of some beings were genetically manipulated from apes. Not all beings were. Some beings would use the genetics and ape genetics were mixed together to create this other being. Until they got it right, family. If you were staying with me and paying attention, you understand what I'm talking about. from the start of this presentation. How Murder come in and cloned him some humans and created his own man. The Anunnaki, Enki comes in and murder them. Neherzad, and she's creating clones from Enki's idea. The Enki starts creating other clones. And at that time period, they called that clone Adam. That's a Adam, family. They called that clone a Adam. That's the reason I'm saying that. Then we go through the wars of Atlantis and Lemuria, with more avatars and more human beings are genetically manipulated. They create more avatars and more workers. Which leads us up to the destruction of the earth and the void of Genesis chapter 1 verse 2, family. So all those things that were going on after Genesis 1, after the actual real creation, family, the earth went through cycles and destructions. Now we come back to the destruction once again. And this destruction of the earth is Genesis chapter 1 verse 2. The time of the void, family. So we're dealing with the time right before Adam. This 7-day cycle through the ages. And what happened, family? We need to understand something. Isaiah 13:5. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven. Even Yahweh and the weapons of his indignation, to destroy the whole land. Howl ye, for the day of Yahweh is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. So you need to understand that, pay attention to that, family. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven. This happened in times past, and this comes in our present time, family. Let's give you more understanding on that. We hear about the old Jesus flood. The Agigian flood is so called because it occurred in the time of Agigis, a mythical king of the Attica. The name of Agigis and Agigian is synonymous with primeval, and earliest, dawn. Others say he was the founder and king of Thebes. In many traditions, the Agigian flood is said to have covered the whole world and was so devastating that Attica remained without kings until the reign of Cecrops. Plato in his Laws, Book 3, argues that his flood had occurred 10,000 years before his time, as opposed to only 1,000 or 2,000 years that have elapsed since the discovery of music and other inventions. Also in Timaeus and in Critias, he describes the great deluge of all as having been preceded by 9,000 years of history before the time of his contemporary, Solon, during the 10th millennium BCE, family. So we understand the Atlantis versus Lemuria, hidden history of a war of more than 10,000 years ago. Because it ended around 10,000 years ago. Atlantis, capital cities were being destroyed and sinking over periods of thousands of years. It was wars going on. And that's when Thas fled to the land of Kim. There was still Atlantean cities standing at this time. The Chronicles of Kor, the lost continents of Lemuria and Atlantis, sank due to a nuclear war caused by the Anunnaki themselves, who influenced the Atlanteans to rule cities. This would spark a worldwide catastrophe. But there were survivors from Lemurians and Atlanteans. So we have survivors from these groups after this war, family. Twilight covered the Earth's surface. The sun was still shining, but a great, large, and powerful mist was beginning to obscure the daylight. So pay attention to that, family. But you're going to understand why he said, let there be light. You understand why he created the sun and the moon. But it's a 7-day cycle. I'm going to tell you what that means. Strange signs were appearing in the sky. A red sun and black paths crossed. Black, red. The four corners of the earth were red. The two races of gods started to dispute. They burned the whole world. They burned the world with solar heat and tried to draw energy from each other. Rivers have been changed, and the height of the mountains and the strength of the sun have been changed. There have been continents that have been flooded. You see that, family? This is the time of Genesis chapter 1 and verse 2, family. But in that time period of Genesis chapter 1 and verse 2, this is not the only event happening. But pay attention, and the strength of the sun has changed, family. So when it comes to the creation of the sun and the moon, we're going to get understanding on that. Because the strength of the sun has changed. We go to Sirach 18. Behold, the heaven and the heavens of heavens, the deep and the earth and all therein shall be moved when he shall visit. You know who came to this earth during the times of the wars of Atlantis and Lemuria? Yahweh. The mountains also and foundations of the earth be shaken with trembling. When Yahweh looketh upon them, no heart can think upon these things worthily. And who is able to conceive his ways? It is a tempest which no man can see. Pay attention, family. It is a tempest which no man can see. For the most part of his works are hid. People do not understand what that means. It's a tempest you can't see, no man can see. And for the most part of his works are hid. Who can declare the works of his justice? Or who can endure them? So who can declare the works of his justice, family? So all that wickedness of Atlantis and Lemurians and the wars, what was going on, family? Over 10,000 years ago, family. All that destruction and flooding was going on. Yahweh came. Family. And when he comes and looks upon this earth, no heart can think upon these things. The mountains also and foundations of the earth be shaken with trembling. When Yahweh looketh upon them. I'm going to go back up. Behold, the heaven and the heavens of heaven of heavens, the deep and the earth, and all that therein shall be moved when he shall visit. They thought nobody wasn't coming when they was doing all this wickedness and fighting and wars, cloning and manipulating. Yahweh came to the earth, family. And what happens? Pay attention when I told you. It is a tempest which no man can see. For the most part of his works are hid. Who can declare the works of his justice? So it's dealing with justice, how he performed these works, which be natural causes and events, but people don't understand. They think when Nibiru get close to the earth, you understand when Yahweh get close to this earth, what happens? Scientists believe that the race of dinosaurs were wiped out by an asteroid millions of years ago. Now, new research suggests that an early settlement of humans also suffered the same fate around 10,000 years ago by a huge chunk of space rock, family. Who can declare the works of his justice, family? It works ahead. Yahweh will get close to this earth. The mountains are moved. New research suggests that an early settlement of humans also suffered the same fate around 10,000 years ago by a huge chunk of space rock. So they try to tell you when Nibiru get close to the earth and all this, what happens to the earth? Then you understand when Yahweh get close to the earth, what happens to it? Because they was doing wickedness. When he come to visit, to reward for their works, they don't understand his justice. Scientists have unearthed an ancient city where evidence shows an atomic blast dating back thousands of years, from 8,000 to 12,000 years, fam. Same time period in between that 10,000, fam. 8 to 12. Destroyed most of the buildings and probably 500,000 people. One researcher estimates that the nuclear bomb used was about the size of the one dropped in Japan in 1945. Remember, the Atlanteans and Lemurians were having nuclear wars and battles. Yahweh came to visit his earth. It was doing too much, fam. He came to visit. The stars went to shaking. The earth went to tremble. The Hamarabrata clearly describes a catastrophic blast that rocked the continent. A single projectile charged with all the power in the universe. An incandescent column of smoke and flame as bright as 10,000 suns rose in all its splendor. It was an unknown weapon, an iron thunderbolt, a gigantic messenger of death, which reduced to ashes an entire race. So they spoke of this nuclear wars. They spoke of these ancient weapons, even planet destroyers, family. But Yahweh visited, family. With Sirach 16. Behold the heaven and the heaven of heavens, the deep and the earth, and all that therein is shall be moved when he shall visit. The mountains also and foundations of the earth shall be shaken with trembling when Yahweh looketh upon them. Family, all this destruction and wars going on, he came looked upon this earth. Space rocks started falling upon this earth. The stars started falling, shaking. The earth was trembling. And then you find out many of these beings hopped in spaceships and tried to flee away. According to the youngest, driest impact hypothesis, one or two comet fragments hit Earth, causing a catastrophic shift in the climate and the mass extinction of the Ice Age. Megafauna between 13,000 to 9,000 years ago. All this in the same period, family. When the Lemurians and Atlanteans, they were warring for thousands of years. Yahweh came to this earth 10,000 years ago. About 10,000 years ago, he came to visit, family. That's why they try to credit like they say, oh, the planet Nibiru gets close and causes all this. No, when Yahweh get close to the earth to visit, all the destruction gonna happen on this earth. When he roll up that scroll, people don't understand. The earth goes through cycles, and he visits this earth as he sees all this wickedness going on. Originally, the ice sheets were thought to have melted over tens of thousands of years in a very slow process. It is now clear that the ice was completely gone in as little as a few thousand years. In order to remove such a large body of ice during this time period, an enormous amount of energy is required. You see this, family? This suggests that a catastrophic event needed to intervene in order for the ice to disappear. Such an event would fit with a single flood. Look at this, family. Due to a large amount of energy dispersed. No, this ain't Noah's flood, family. This is the flood of Genesis 1, chapter verse 2. When the earth is in darkness and void. And he has to separate the waters. Because the earth is flooded. From this event, this is the flood before Noah. This is before Adam, family. Before the age of Adam. See, that other Adam that The Anunnaki, Enkidu was great. That's not the same Adam. Total different Adam, and the scholars get it wrong. Isaiah 13:9. Behold, the day of Yahweh cometh, cruel both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. See what that say? It shall not give their light. So we getting into Genesis, and we find out why he gotta do a recreation process on the sun and the moon. It's not that they actually destroy it completely. The moon is, but the sun, we're gonna get to that. It's not emitting the light. The moon is not either, as it was before. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth. You see that? And the moon shall not cause her light to shine. So in that time of Genesis chapter 1, in Genesis family, in that recreation story of the 7-day cycle before Adam, this is what we're dealing with. And this is coming again, family, because we're in that cycle again, family. He's coming to visit. Because the wars aren't over. These wars are, there's more to come. More wars and destruction. More earth pain. And I will punish the world for their evil. You see that? What do you think they were doing in the time of Lenten Lumerians? Same stuff they're doing now. Just they're less advanced right now. And the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease. And I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. So it's going to be hard to find a person. Like, dang, people were destroyed like the time of Noah. This before Noah, before Adam, this happened. This is what Genesis, the recreation story of Genesis is talking about. It references the creation story, but the story is about the recreation story of this earth cycle, of Adam's age. But it references past cycles. Therefore, I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place. You see that? What you think happened in the last cycle? What I just was reading about. Lenten Luminaries, fam. In the wrath of Yahweh of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger, family. That happened, family, and it's coming again. He visited earth in this cycle. And he's coming again in this cycle. Because evil is here. Still. Jeremiah 4:28. For this shall the earth mourn, and the heavens above be black. You see that? That's why I was in darkness. The heavens above were black and in darkness. Because I have spoken it. I have purposely proposed it. I have proposed it. And will not repent. Neither will I turn back from it. So he set these things in order for a purpose. That set them. He has spoken these things. The things that was, that is, and the things that are to come. He sees all. We're living in his time matrix. Can't hide nothing from him. The heavens above be black. That's what we're dealing with in Genesis, family. Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. This is what we're dealing with, family. All that I just read about was showing you the wars and destruction. And the Yahweh visits the earth. And the earth was without form and void. When he visited that earth, family, they didn't understand that justice he brings. When the stars went to falling, shaking, the earth went to trembling
Purchase your lease today.
because of the wickedness they were doing. And the spirit of Yahweh moved upon the face of the waters. What's going on in this earth cycle, family? I know when I read it, I always reference the allegory and the literal. But what's going on in this cycle of Adam and the recreation? We know why the earth was without form and void, family. Destroyed from nuclear wars, destruction, floods. But Yahweh visited the earth, which caused the earth to shake, tremble, stars to fall, bringing the earth into that state of voidness. Also, bringing justice upon it. He came to visit it. And darkness was upon the face of the deep. So there was lawlessness, family. Wickedness. So the earth was in destruction.
This is a free demo download.
There were lawless ones
Purchase
on the face of the deep. And the spirit of Yahweh moved upon the face of the waters. He moved upon the face of the people. We're not going to talk about the literal waters above, the firmament below. We already spoke about it. We're talking about the actual meaning of waters. We're talking about people. And I'm going to go back. Did I even put that in here? Yeah, I put it in that chapter. I'm going to show you that. And Yahweh said, let there be light. And there was light. You see this, family? Now we're dealing with this actual recreation. We're referencing this actual cycle. When he said, let there be light, let there be law, family. Let's jump down. Proverbs 6:23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light. And reproofs of instruction are the way of life. Let there be law. Let there be order, family. The earth was out of order, out of law. Man was out of law. The beings that were living on this earth were lawless. But you know there are always a few beings that he tries to find righteousness, or try to do right. That's what was going on in Genesis chapter 1 recreation story. Let there be law. Let there be order. Yahweh saw the light, that it was good. And Yahweh divided the light from the darkness. He divided the lawless from those of the law. He divided good from evil. And called the light day. A lot of people don't understand what this is talking about. And the darkness he called night. But look, and the evening and the morning was the first day. But what it say here? It say, and the evening and the morning was the first day. And jump back up, and Yahweh called the light day, and the darkness he called night. Now let's jump down to 1 Thessalonians 5:5. You are all the children of light, and the children of the day. You see that? Children of the light and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. This is what we're dealing with. Right before Adam comes upon this earth, in this first destruction. In Genesis. Let there be law. Let there be order. Wickedness, destructions upon the face of the deep. He came upon the face of the people. brought light. He brought law. He brought order, family. The people that were remaining. Remember, most people on earth was dead, destroyed. There was people that remained and was living. Even wicked people. You had some wicked beings still living. And we even have texts that tell you that a lot of the beings tried to jump in their little spaceships and fly to get away from destruction. Some of them didn't make it. But we are the children of light, the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. And Yahweh said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. We already know about the waters, the actual literal flood waters, that it rose up above the earth and divided the waters on the earth that were beneath, that stayed beneath. He brought a order. That's what he was doing. Let there be light. Let there be order. He was bringing order back to the earth, law back to the earth. But when he divided the waters, he divided the people from the people. And Yahweh made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament. Pay attention. From the waters which were above the firmament. Now we know he brought order to bring the actual literal waters back up above the firmament and below. He made a separation. But what we talking about in this crazy story, we know what's going on. He separated the people that were under the firmament. These are those waters. And the people that were above the firmament. Those waters. Because we know that beings came from above the earth, from other places down to the earth. We know that. That's what was going on. To Atlantis, Lumiere, and all before that. It was beings above the firmament, above the earth, that came down below it into this earth, family, before this destruction. So he separated those beings that came down here on the earth from above and below this firmament. Yeah, a lot of beings tried to run and escape. A lot of beings were destroyed and died. A lot of different things happened to these beings at this time period. And some of them remained and was on earth. But he made a separation due to their works. And it was so. Because remember, if you watch the Genesis Reloaded video, I teach you in more depth about he divided the spirits of light and darkness also. And I get into more of the literal light and all that. But we get into the actual, right before Adam, what was really going on in this 7-day cycle. This age, these ages, thousands of years before Adam. Remember, a day is 1,000 years. With Yahweh, with his counsel. So in Genesis, it's talking about a different measurement of time. Yahweh called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning was the second day. See? In the second day, that was the second day. 1,000 years, family. Yahweh said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. This land was being prepared for beings that was on the earth. A lot of beings were living inside the earth. Some of them was on boat-like structures, trying to survive. Many of them died. And Yahweh called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And Yahweh saw that it was good. And Yahweh said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after its kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. So he put things back in order. Because remember, he's the original creator of the earth. Before all these beings over them thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, destroying and altering the earth and modifying it, he's the original creator. He comes back to visit. We know what happens. They don't understand his justice. Or can they declare his judgment? And the evening and the morning was the third day. Now, Revelation 17 and 15, because many people want to question me about the waters. And he said unto me, the waters which you sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples. So he let us know what waters are representing, even in Revelation. He telling us waters, them waters, where that whore sitting, are people. The water are people, and multitudes, and nations, and tongues. These waters. So we get back to Genesis, we understand, if you break down that there's an actual creation story, but you need to understand Genesis is talking about a recreation story. That's why when you understand what Ezra was talking about, because he had to redocument Genesis, they were both talking about a literal creation story before the creation, and in our time, when they were documenting, they were writing about the earth being recreated, replenished. But a lot of people miss over that, even these scholars. So they try to think that these texts are borrowed from other cultures. But all these beings and everything correlates into one. There's one God above all. Many of these beings living inside the earth, family. Went to tunnels. Someone went onto ships, tried to escape. Okay, family, we're gonna go over a few things to give you some understanding of what was going on during the time of the cycle before Adam, family. In 536 AD, much of the world went dark for a full 18 months as a mysterious fog rolled over Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Asia. The fog blocked the sun during the day, causing temperatures to drop, crops to fail, and people to die. It was, you might say, the literal dark age. So I'm reading this, giving you an instant, family, since this happened multiple times throughout history, where the sun could not be seen. It was blocked out, family. But we're dealing with the time, the cycle right before Adam. We find out in 7176 BCE, the sun erupted. And what may be the biggest blast in 10,000 years, immense solar storm occurred over 9,000 years ago that will be devastating today. So we know when Yahweh came and visited this earth, family, because of the wars and the destruction and wickedness going on, these events occurred, bringing judgment, family, within this cycle. In a solar minimum, the sun is much quieter, meaning less sunspots and energy. In the next few decades, some solar scientists think that we could go into a grand solar minimum. So there's differences between a solar minimum and grand solar minimum. But in the time of this eruption, in this cycle right before Adam fell, this was a great, I'd say it was beyond the grand solar minimum. Because the sun was no longer emitting the light that it was before. It was in a destroyed state. Almost in a dead state, family. Let's continue. During what known as the Little Ice Age in Earth's northern hemisphere, when a combination of cooling from volcanic eruptions and low solar activity produced lower surface temperatures. We also find that the sun, although it has sustained all life on our planet, will not shine forever. The sun has already existed for about 4.5 billion years, and this is according to education.nationalgeographic.org. They're telling you the sun will not shine forever. And at this time, between 10,000 and 12,000 years ago, when the rest of Atlantis was sinking and the nuclear wars was going on, and Yahweh visited this earth, the sun erupted. going into a state where it was not shining, family. Was not emitting that light. It was in a destroyed state, family. And I already told you, people were living in caves and stuff. Some people on boats. People went into caves and caverns for refuge. That's why we get in Genesis 1:14. And Yahweh said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night. Let them be for signs and for seasons. For signs and for seasons. And for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. So this is the reason of this occurrence, because of Yahweh visit the earth. Caused a great judgment. The sun caused an eruption, solar storms like no other. Yahweh made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. So we know who made these things. Yahweh did. This is who actually made these things. Yahweh set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, to divide the light from the darkness. And Yahweh saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And second Ezra's family. Upon the fourth day you commanded that the sun should shine, family. You commanded that the sun should shine, family. Because the sun was in a destroyed state. So he did his wondrous works upon it. And the moon give her light. And the stars should be in order. Because remember when he created the stars and moon, he created them and set them in order. He commanded them to be in order right now. And gave them a charge to do service unto man that was to be made. Because our ancestor Adam was coming upon this earth to be Lord over the earth. Image of Yahweh. There's a lot of evidence that shows the moon is not what we have been told it is. There's a lot of evidence that shows there was a time on earth when there was no moon, family. So we know when the sun was in a destructive state, we know around this time period that the moon was destroyed. There's a lot of evidence that shows there was a time on earth where there was no moon. NASA has no workable explanation for how our moon came to be in our sky. Literally, yet they can explain most other moons in our solar system. The moon is not what you think it is. Ancient human civilizations across multiple continents around the world speak of the time before the moon. Before the moon arrived. So the ancients spoke about this time before the moon arrived, family. And so did our ocean tides, and with it, so did our ocean tides, seasons, and conditions, prime for an abundance of life. So it was times the ancients spoke of that there was no moon. So in that day, that fourth day, when he commanded that sun should shine, he did his works upon the sun, bringing it back to life, shining. Remember, this still is a 1,000-year period in that day. So that means after the sun was shining during that day, ancient peoples were coming out of caves and caverns, and they were not seeing the moon at night for maybe a few hundreds of years. And then when he commanded the moon to be brought back into order and constructed and to give her light, it was back up there. But also through different time periods we hear about other moons being brought here and that the original moon is no longer here, family. And through the same time period, family, this is when we find out about Göbekli Tepe, family. Located in the Gurmuz Mountains in southeastern Anatolia, this property presents monumental, round, oval, and rectangular megalithic structures erected by hunter-gatherers in the pre-pottery Neolithic age between 9,600 and 8,200 BCE. These monuments were probably used in connection with rituals, most likely of a funerary nature. Distinctive T-shaped pillars are carved with images of wild animals, providing insight into the way of life and beliefs of people living in Upper Mesopotamia about 11,500 years ago. And they documented these structures between 9600 and 8200 BCE. This would be between the third day, the end of the third day towards the it would be during the third day towards the end of the fourth day, family. Which more likely would have been constructed during the fourth day. When the sun was commanded to shine again and reconstructed by his wonderful works.
Now you listening to Prime Stars music.
When he brought him back to life, brought the sun back to life. Second Ezra 6:47. Upon the fifth day, you set into the seventh part, where the waters were gathered, that it should bring forth living creatures, fowls and fishes, and so it came to pass. For the dumb water and without life brought forth living things, at the commandment of Yahweh, that all people might praise your wondrous works. Then did you ordain two living creatures, the one you call as Enoch, and the other Leviathan, and did separate the one from the other. For the seventh part, namely where the water was gathered together, might not hold them both. So he ordained those two living creatures, as I spoke of in the other video, Genesis Reloaded. These two beings, these two peoples on earth, two type of beings, peoples. And we find out there was peoples left after that destruction, survivors, family. We get to Genesis 1:26.
Now you listening to Prime Stars.
Now we know Yahushua's reference to a second Adam, but that's in this age of our ancestor Adam. Because before this age, in the previous cycles, we hear about this other Adam with no spirit or soul, created by Enki, and then Urta and all of them family. When they were cloning and genetically modifying the original man, as I brought forth earlier in the presentation. So we document him as the second Adam for that particular reason, family. Because this is not that Adam that most scholars are tricking you with and confusing with, because they are incorrect. This is not the same Adam. Yahweh said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So Yahweh said, let us make man in our image. See, this is not Enki and the other beings. This is not that same Adam. This Adam, our ancestor, was given dominion over the fish, the sea, the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth. The Adam they created was a slave and servants with problems, mental problems, physical problems. They couldn't get their clones right. This Adam right here was created by Yahweh, in the image of Yahweh. And the spirit was put into this Adam. So Yahweh created man in his own image. In the image of Yahweh created he him. male and female created he them, and blessed them. And Yahweh said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it. And have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. This the Adam, our ancestor, Yahweh created in his image. The other Adam was a servant, a slave, clones. It didn't have dominion, and they weren't created to be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea. They weren't given none of these, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. The Adam that those other beings created, they later on created clones of it that could procreate, so they could have more workers and servants. This is not the same Adam. This Adam is our ancestor. The other Adam is not. Genesis 2:7, and Yahweh formed man of the dust of the ground. He formed man of the elements of the earth, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. So he placed into this Adam, this race of beings, this Adam he chose a spirit of life, spirit of life. And man became a living being, family. Those clones that Enki made had no spirit in them. They were living organisms, but they were not living beings, had no spirit. Just conscious beings walking around, programmed. Then they started creating conscious beings, still without spirit. Because the body can possess consciousness and do things without the driver in it. Just like electric cars they make it that can drive by themselves. Don't need the driver in it. It has a type of conscience of AI. What they're doing. Since those clones were dead. We're spirits possessing avatars. We are life. We are alive. We have life eternal. We're sons of the Most High. Sirach 17. For in the division of the nations of the whole earth, he set a ruler over every people. See that? He set a ruler over every people. But Yasharal is Yahweh's portion. See that? And it said the Lord's, Adon's portion, because he has his angels over it. Yahweh's portion, see? The angels come in Yahweh's name. His title. Salvation. The one that saved. He that exists. Whom being his firstborn, he nourisheth with discipline, and giving him the light of his love, does not forsake him. We are his firstborns. We're spirit beings, possessing avatars. We are the firstborns. We come from the heavens. Of the heavens. We come from a realm higher than Satan and all the other beings. Okay? We come from the high council. Then we get to Stonehenge, and perhaps the world's most famous prehistoric monument. It was built in several stages. The first monument was an early henge monument, built about 5,000 years ago. And the unique stone circle was erected in the late Neolithic period, about 2500 BC. In the early Bronze Age, many burial mounds were built nearby. So Stonehenge appeared right after our ancestor, forefather Adam, was formed. I'd like to give all praise to the Heavenly Father. God, halam no yo, but show me yo, but show me shot yo shot.